So in this video, we're going to be working on Tadasana, mountain pose. It's one of the most common poses you will encounter in a yoga class, maybe more common than Sukhasana, which is the seated cross-legged position. For mountain pose, you'll come to the front edge of your mat. Once you come to the front edge of your mat, bring those big toes together to touch and let the heels be together or slightly apart. That's option number one. Option number two is to keep your feet hip distance apart. There's nothing better or worse by keeping the hip distance apart or bringing the feet together. It's all about personal preference. So ask yourself what feels best for you. Hip distance apart, toes pointing straight forward, or feet together, heels slightly apart. It really is what works best for you in your practice on your mat today. Once you bring the feet together, bring the attention to your pelvis. So many of us spend our days with our chest pointed forward, our belly pointed forward, and our pelvis tilted forward in this rotation. It's kind of like if you're taking an Instagram video or an Instagram shot, you're taking a selfie and you stick your butt out and you reach the chest forward and you hold up and you look up at the camera. And this is what most of us do. And this is how a lot of people stand. The other way a lot of people stand is they will stand slumped forward with the belly tilt, with the pelvis tilted back, the chest forward, the shoulders forward, this with the neck forward. This is the way I used to stand before I started practicing yoga. What we want to do in this particular position and in this asana is find a neutral pelvis. So what you'll want to do is put your hands on your hips, stand tall, and then tilt the pelvis forward and tilt the pelvis back. Imagine that your pelvis is a bowl. And what you want to do is either tilt that bowl forward and back until you find a space where that pelvis is neutral and that bowl isn't going to spill any water out of it. So imagine that your pelvis is a bowl filled with water and you don't want to spill any water out of it. Once you've found a neutral pelvis and your feet are on the floor, close the eyes, bring the hands by the sides, and start to just rock forward and back, and then side to side. Find that equal standing balance with equal weight. So you don't want too much weight into the toes. You don't want too much weight into the heels. You don't want too much weight to the right side or to the left side. You want as much weight as you can, or you want to make sure you find an equal footing with equal weight. Now that you've found a neutral pelvis, equal weight, lift the toes up off of the floor. Feel your arches engage. So even if you have flat feet like I do, what you'll find is that when you lift the toes, the arches lift. So you'll notice when my toes are down, my foot is flat. As soon as I lift the arch, there's a little bit more, lift the toes, there's a little bit more space underneath my foot. What we want to try to do once we lift those toes off the floor is keep those arches lifted through the whole thing. Now notice, your weight tends to shift to the outsides of the feet, so press down through the inside balls of the feet. Spreading the toes wide, gently set the toes back down, and appreciate the fact that your feet take you everywhere you go, every day, all the time. So maybe give your feet a little bit of love and attention every now and then. The thighs. Internally rotate those thighs. So external rotation, I'll give you a really big and exaggerated demonstration. External rotation is taking the inner thigh and rotating it forward. Internal rotation is rotating that thigh in and back. So when I say internally rotate, what I want you to do is take those thighs and press the inner thighs towards the back wall by internally rotating those thighs. From here, pressing down through the feet, internally rotating the thighs. Engage those thighs, press the femurs and your shins towards the back of the room, and stand tall. With your neutral pelvis, reach the fingertips towards the floor. Reach the crown of the head to the sky, so stand really tall. Draw your shoulders down and back, so plug those shoulder blades and draw them down through your back. From here, tuck the chin slightly to the chest, spreading the fingers wide. Imagine you have energy radiating from your heart all the way down through the fingertips. Now, how do you feel when you stand this way as opposed to the way that you normally stand? Tadasana, mountain pose. As always, if you have any questions, you can let me know.